What's up, everybody? I'm Greg Miller, and Michael DePlatter is here to talk about Shadow of Mordor. Then, Stu Paul is here to tell me about his film about a game called Settlers of Catan. His movie's called Lord of Catan. It's crazy. But first, what's going on with all these movies getting renamed? Where the hell is the beef? This is Up at Noon. It's the news you care about with your normal panel of idiots. My Italian meatball, Brian Altano. The producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Hi, Greg.
People like you.
I guess.
Does that feel good?
Yeah, it did.
All right,
Did Aransky pay him to do that?
Probably.
Okay.
Leading off the Tom Cruise news this week, Edge of Tomorrow came out, right?
Love it.
You watched it?
Nope.
No, nobody watched Edge of Tomorrow. Everybody said it was the best video game movie that wasn't based on a video game. None of you went and saw it. No one saw it. It was a huge flop. It went away. No, you didn't. Now for the the release here on the digital platforms and the DVD, they're now changing the title of the movie. They're now going to call it Live, Die, Repeat. This is real news. We didn't make it up. And this apparently happens. This
Wait, so what
before.
if you're the one guy that did see that movie and you're like, looks like
I
there's
love-
a sequel out?
Yeah, I love Tom Cruise and that Blunt Girl. I'm going to watch this new one they did. Oh, wait, it's the same one. Was it the Blunt Girl? I always confuse her.
Yeah, it was Emily Blunt.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, everyone that went and saw it, and you guys can attest, it was pretty good, right? It was supposed to be pretty
The
good.
one guy?
There's a couple of people are nodding, and just
They're just happy to
they
make
stopped
eye
listening to us
contact.
5 minutes ago. They were like, yeah, whatever Nick says, it's fine. It's a shame because the movie doesn't. I guess the title the producers felt, or whoever the distributor is felt that it wasn't really getting across what the movie's really about. So live, die, repeat.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward.
Drive it
Yeah, but
right
you
home.
You don't get to do that. You have to own your mistakes. That's how that works.
I don't think you do anymore. It's all digital.
What are you
There's
talking
nothing-
about?
There's nothing physical anymore. You don't have a VHS where you have to like go to someone's house and like Sharpie over the title and write "Live, Die, Repeat."
Why
on
are
it.
you talking about a VHS from 30 years ago? I mean, this is
Everything's digital. They could change it right now. You go to your Xbox, you're like, I bought that movie. It's not called
that's
Wolverine
assuming
anymore.
it assumes we have no attention span left anymore. We're just like, what was that movie?
We don't have any attention.
None of us
That's
have
100%
I guess you're right. That's fucking trash.
All right, so here's my question then.
All right.
Let's rename some other movies.
Okay.
All right.
I like that.
Brian,
Yeah.
rename The Godfather.
Let's be wops.
I think we have to.
There's two Italians on this panel.
No, it's still racist. It's
I
still
can
racist.
say that.
Okay.
Now it makes my title even. Now you're putting a racist lens on mine. Mine was going to be My Nice Jewish Uncle. Because my Uncle Scott is Jewish in My Godfather. It was a nice story from me, and yours is all.
Wait, why did you
full
make that
blown-
movie your personal story? That wasn't the...
I'm the one getting to rename it. I'll do what I want.
Let's
Sorry.
be wops.
What do you?
Do you have one?
What do you got, Nick?
I don't know. I can't follow that. Mine was going to be super self-explanatory, like something like spaghetti and guns. Just dumb, and like straight to the point. That's all it was.
That's
Is that-
really good.
Is that racist?
I like that one.
Spaghetti
no.
and guns?
That's in the movie.
Yeah.
All right.
And back hair. It would've been spaghetti, guns, and Sonny's back hair.
Nick,
Yes.
The Lord of the Rings.
Attack of the Little People.
How are we going to the most offensive things every time?
No, it's self-explanatory. It's a movie about a bunch of little people who attack stuff. They just run around stabbing with little swords that look like swords in their hand, but they're daggers.
What do you got?
Let's be dwarves.
I'm going to go Foshodo Frodo.
That's really good.
That's really good. That's not bad.
Brian,
Yeah.
Rocky.
Boxing with brain damage.
I have two for this one. So if it's a romantic comedy angle, you
There
want to go
were
with.
like a multiple Rockies, so yeah. You can
Yeah. Okay. So the first one I would go, if it's gonna be like a romantic comedy, I would say, "Yo, Adrian?" Question mark. See. And then the second one, if we're going with the still fighting genre, is just I punch stuff.
I like how you're like,
You gotta tell audiences have no attention span. You gotta tell them exactly what the movie's about.
Wait,
Live,
but
die,
what if
repeat,
you're talking
I
about
punch
that
stuff.
movie with somebody? If you're like, yo, have you seen Yo Adrian? Question mark. Question mark.
Yeah, people are like, is that the one where he punches stuff? You're like, should have gone with that title. Damn, I should have nailed that title to the ground.
Brian,
Yes.
TMNT.
SHIT.
That's hard to follow. That's
Topic number 2. The Xbox 360 is getting a 500 gigabyte add-on, so you can store more things on your Xbox 360, which we're all playing right now. Nick, I want to know what's your favorite video game accessory of all time?
Of all time.
Of all time.
I gotta go Power Glove, and here's why.
Sucked. It didn't work. It never worked.
It never worked, but it looked so cool in the commercials, right?
Yeah, of
like the
course.
guy would be like, gish, gish, and like lightning would come to his hands.
Yeah.
Those noises.
And then he would just control everything with his arm like you wanted it to, like you wanted Connect to work.
Yeah.
Like it actually, but it never did. So I guess anything that involves your hands basically just doesn't work. But I'm still holding out for a hero that one day they'll make a Power Glove that'll allow me to like control cool mechs, like that Robotech game that never came out.
Okay.
Why do you always do gush gush every time we talk about action things?
That's my Tyroot sound. No one knows who Tyroot is. It's okay.
Thank you for
It's an odd
drilling.
reference.
We're going for a very specific audience involved.
Very specific audience.
Namely Tyroot and Craig Baradon.
It's the sound of men that have giant mitts, like Marv from Sin City. Just geesh, geesh.
Brian, favorite video game accessory?
Nick Scarpino.
Wow. Because I don't play video games, I just sit next to you while you play video games?
No, because like we used to. This is a video game show. We never needed you before, and now you're part of the thing. We
That's
brought you
fun.
on. You're our Power Glove.
Thanks, guys.
And you don't always work.
I'm useless and I don't work correctly, but I look really cool.
Exactly.
Wow, that actually is the most apt description of
saved
Nick
that.
Scarpino I've ever heard.
Amazing. We're mint
Greg?
t-shirts.
You know what? I enjoyed when I was a kid having the stupid Sega Genesis light gun, the sharpshooter or whatever.
The
But they one
Menacer.
NES one. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
That was the one
That was
too.
a piece of shit.
Totally garbage. Video game peripherals suck.
Yeah.
And I was so happy a few years ago when we moved away from them, and it looked like it was done. And then Rock Band happened, and then they were everywhere. They were
Yep.
back.
Yep.
And
There's
then
two things
they're lighting up, and you need them for games.
I feel like there's two things that always come back in our culture. 3D
Yeah.
and peripherals.
Right.
Like no matter what, because there's some some new hotshot exec that's up and coming. He's like, guys, I got ways to fatten those margins. I'm snapping at things and things are happening and I'm making it work. 3D peripherals. They're gonna be real life. They come at you, fat margins. And everyone's like, that's cool. I've never heard of that before because I have the attention span of a gnat. So let's put those out to market. Connect.
I'm gonna go rent, live, die, repeat. Final story of the week, Atari is going to reimagine some of their games, including Alone in the Dark and Haunted House. Classic games getting reimagined for our current times. First off, Alone in the Dark, all right, great. I remember that last game. No, thank you. You were gonna have to imagine something pretty goddamn good for me to pay attention.
Does Atari ever imagine anymore, or do they only reimagine? Because I feel like they're never like, hey guys, check it out, new idea.
That's just everything in general. Everything's a sequel nowadays. But
I got sad.
well, here, let's get it sadder. Let's pull it out, all right? What would you guys reimagine? What video game would you reimagine?
Well, does it have to be an Atari game or can it be just
no,
a
it can
multi?
be, no, it doesn't have to be.
I want to reimagine Aliens and the Apple IIc. Do you remember that game?
No.
It was the
No.
hardest thing on the planet, and I want another crack at it, but I can't find an Apple IIc anywhere.
Are you looking?
Are you reimagining the exact same game?
I'm reimagining, yeah, like something top down, top down. But I just want another crack at it. Maybe slightly better graphics, and I can actually finally beat the last level.
Brian.
Yeah.
I would reimagine Ghost House from the Sega Master System. I thought it doesn't get enough credit. Imagine this, if you will.
Okay.
Castlevania. You got the Dracula. He's doing stuff. But rather than being some Belmont with a whip, you're just a normal kid named Mick. And you got to get in there and get your gold or whatever the hell the game was about. I was a kid. I don't remember. But it seems like there's a lot that could be done with Mick going back. We all remember how good the Splatterhouse reimagining came out.
Or how good the Castlevanias have been.
Ooh. Wait, well, now people like the first one.
The first one for NES.
No, all right. What are you going to reimagine?
Battletoads.
Is this still going to be impossible?
It's still gonna be impossible, but it's gonna be in the Unreal Engine, the latest version. So it's just gonna be disgusting. Like they're gonna look like the nastiest mutant toads. They're just gonna be wet and fat. They're gonna I'll mocap it if you need it.
Give me some right now. Let me just take a second. Center yourself. You
Toads. I don't know what
Wait,
they
the
say.
toads are saying that about
They hate who they are. They're just constant.
They just
pain.
don't like each other. They're like, oh, that.
My body is disgusting. I don't know.
Why am I so big? Why am I battling everything? Toads don't normally battle.
And they would kick, and their foot would be like 6 times bigger than theirs. It's great. Go play it.
Speaking of battling everything, Greg Way, my next guest is making a game
almost
called
heard the-
Shadow of Mordor. Yeah! Welcome to Up at Noon. It's in 3D. Be ready for anything, all right? Next guest is named Michael D. Platter, and he's here to show us Shadow of Mordor. Put your hands together and get more cards. you for coming. They're all very excited about Shadow of Mordor. Now, here's something that one person was excited. I apologize.
Thank you.
Not many. I kept forgetting for a long time this was a Lord of the Rings game. Does that happen to you ever?
Not so far. no.
Really? Okay. Set it up for everybody at home. It's in the Lord of the Rings universe before what the kids know from the movies, though, right?
So it depends which movies. So it's after The Hobbit.
Yeah.
So after the Battle
Wait,
of...
those are in the same universe?
Yeah, Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, and so Battle of Five Armies is this December, so kind of spoiler alert, Sauron's going to lose. and then he's going to be driven back, he's going to be returning to Mordor, but it's still like 80 years before the Lord of the Rings. So we take place in between the two trilogies.
Right, so you get into unexplored areas and do things you want to do to them.
Very much so, yes.
Yeah, exactly,
With,
that's the
with
perfect.
extreme prejudice.
So it sounds to me like you're setting yourself up to get really screwed over by the fans on two fronts, right? Because number one, you have all the Lord of the Ring fans who just know everything about that. And then on top of that, now you have all these video game fans coming in, and they aren't easy to please. Do you feel that pressure of coming? I mean, you're taking on a huge property that a lot of people love.
I mean, including us, obviously, you know.
I don't know about that.
Trust me.
Who played Gandalf?
Sorry?
Who played
In
Gandalf?
the Ralph Bakshi or the Peter Jackson?
Peter Jackson.
Ian McKellen.
That was the tough one.
Thank you. But
Checks out.
I mean that's obviously the hard thing is finding something that simultaneously is fun as a game and is completely respectful to the lore, accurate to the canon. And again, I think the thing we've tried hardest to do is to tell an original story. So not just to retread the journey of the Fellowship, not just to sort of follow along with the story we already know. So telling something new and authentic, but then keeping it completely accurate. And that's where those sort of 80 years that are in between the two trilogies gave us a lot of really exciting stuff to play with, I think.
So then what is happening in the story of Shadow of Mordor?
So Sauron's returned, so he's going to be beginning to rebuild his army, rebuild his forces for the War of the Ring, which sort of makes it's an ideal time to be behind enemy lines within Mordor, messing with his plans. So you can have a real impact on the events that we're going to see in Lord of the Rings, because if he had have succeeded in marching out 40 years earlier, that would have played out very differently.
Yeah, it would have changed things a bit.
Pretty dramatically. And then additionally, we want to tell a new story, but have something that's really central to the lore. So one of our two main characters is actually an elf called Celebrimbor. So he was murdered by Sauron thousands of years before, but the reason he's so important is because he worked with Sauron to forge the Rings of Power, so the rings the Nazgul wear. So it's, we get to shed a new light on the lore that's there in the appendices, that's there in the history and the story, but isn't really explored in the main kind of narrative of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit.
So then, for the idea for the game and creating the game, what comes first? Is it the idea of the gameplay you want, or the setting, or the time period? Like, how did this come together for you guys to be a part of it?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big challenge with any game and any licensed game is how do you find the sweet spot of finding something that speaks meaningfully to the lore, to the IP, and also gives you something new in terms of the gameplay. So I think our starting point was looking through Lord of the Rings and thinking, okay, there's this big theme that runs through it of this idea of power. Boromir wants to take the One Ring. Galadriel is tempted to take the One Ring, but she doesn't. Gandalf thinks about it, but knows that if he did take it, it would have been a really bad idea. He would have, turned out worse than Sauron. But so that starting idea was, what if a character with good intentions did have that sort of power that we would have seen if Boromir or Galadriel had the One Ring and actually challenged Sauron head on. So that was our sort of starting what if. Then we also, as a game, but also within Middle-earth, knew it was important to have an open world, to let people explore it. And then how could we bring that to life in a new way? And then we really looked at the Orc Society was very interesting. That moment when Sam goes into Cirith Ungol, into that Orc fortress, and they start fighting over Frodo's shirt, and they just absolutely slaughter each other. So that you could be that spark that could set off this chaos and kind of turn evil against itself. So those two kind of ideas were the starting point.
Sometimes you talk about it, it sounds a little like Hogan's Heroes. Like we're gonna go behind enemy lines,
It's
and we're gonna
more, yeah, I would say more Inglourious Basterds.
more Inglourious Basterds. Well, that definitely sounds cooler.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. I mean, you briefly mentioned it there. The fact that it's an open world game, right? It's this action RPG that's humongous. You watch it, and it's like one of those where it's like, I'm gonna spend so many hours in here just doing side quests. Was that hard to merge? I mean, because again, you're trying to, like you're saying, be respectful to a franchise, a property, something everybody knows, but give the player a chance to go out and do different things.
It's really hard. And the thing is, we wanted to try and do two things simultaneously. One is to tell a really strong, crafted story. So we have these more linear story missions that take place that are very character-driven. And we worked really closely with Christian Canamessa, so we approached him because he was the lead writer, director on Red Dead, and we knew we wanted that sort of character-driven story in those moments. So then we've got this story taking place within the world, but then we've got an open world where we give people a huge amount of freedom to create their own stories as well. So you're kind of trying to juggle those two things simultaneously as well.
Now, when we're talking about open world action RPGs, a lot of stuff comes down to you're going to build this character. You're going to start from the ground up, do all these different things, expand out this way, change your looks, do all this stuff. You guys have hired this Troy Baker fellow to be one of these one of these main characters and voice. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Troy Baker's been here before. Dick.
He's been here
But for this you're telling a more narrative-driven action RPG, correct?
Yeah, and so Troy plays Talion, who's the other half of our main character. Kind of he and Celebrimbor are kind of united as this wraith as well as the ranger. So he had to play that character really closely with Alistair Duncan. So we've kind of got this interesting kind of duality between having these two characters, two actors kind of occupying the same space, depending whether you're in the physical world or whether you're in the wraith world. And he brought so much, I think, to bringing that character to life. And I think, in a way, to making it very authentic to Tolkien. I think he brought, one of the big themes in Tolkien that we see is some of the most heroic moments of these characters that don't actually want to be part of these huge epic events and saving the world. They'd rather, just be home, having dinner, having a beer, that sort of grounded humanity that Sam has. And I think Talion, really got that thanks to Troy as well.
So for you, and you're biased, I understand. So
Very
nobody trusts
biased.
what he says. But what are the hooks for this that are going to grab action RPG players? Like other than just the story, because for me it's the actual watching the game, seeing you guys upgrade, change, do these different things. That's where I get really excited.
Yeah, we obviously think about this a lot. So yeah, of course we are pretty biased. But I kind of feel like the three key things that mean that we still enjoy playing it as well. One is, I think, just the core game is pretty solid, like our combat. So not only the melee, but the stealth, the range, all the moment-to-moment gameplay. Then the story, and I think, the ability to really dig deep and discover the lore and that it really feels like an authentic part of Middle-earth. And then we put a lot of effort into making our enemies fun, letting you act. So a lot of that customization and upgrades and specialization that sometimes go on to the player side or NPCs, we really doubled down on putting all of that on our enemies. We made this thing, we call it the Nemesis system, but the enemies grow, they remember, they get promoted, they go on their own missions, they battle against each other. So within Mordor, you genuinely get to create your own personal villains, that remember you, get scarred.
You killed my grandfather.
They don't necessarily have their grandfathers. They kind of get dragged out of vats, but you can kill their friends, you can kill their masters, you can kill them.
You killed my master.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm now a politician, a free man.
Yeah.
I can write all sorts of fan fiction for you.
Yeah, we should have. I wish we'd known that earlier.
It's okay, don't worry. I will continue to pump it out for you.
Yeah.
Michael, when does Shadow of Mordor come out?
It comes out on September the 30th.
That's close.
It's very close.
You're in the home stretch.
I know, we're excited.
Drinking booze at work all the time now?
Constantly, I'm drunk right now.
All right. Let's go drink some more. Michael, thank you so much for coming by.
Thank
Your
you
game
very
looks
much.
great.
Thank you.
Oh, all right. Whoa. That's the best handshake I've ever had at Open Noon. You're serious business.
Yeah, don't mess around.
I noticed. How are you today?
I'm excellent.
Yeah, you're here because you invented the board game Lords of Catan.
Yes, my name is Klaus Tuber. I'm a delightful German man.
No, Settlers of Catan, big time game. Everybody loves it. You've made a short film, fictional, I hope.
Yes.
Because I've seen it. I hope it's fictional. Called The Lord of Catan. Tell me all about it.
It's basically a short film about this married couple played by Amy Acker and Fran Kranz, who have their kind of board game night that plunges them into a vortex of madness and destruction.
Just like a good board night game should, or you know what I mean? That's how it should go, I think.
Yeah.
That's how most Monopoly games end.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
So, it's an interesting idea for a movie. You know what I mean? Like when they pitched it to me, and they're like, "Oh, this movie," and I was like, "All right, what's it? It's about? It's a documentary about the game." They're like, "No, not at all. It's this fictional thing of madness in board games." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Where did the idea come from?"
Reality. My wife and I were playing the game. I mean, I literally like just stole it out of my life because we were playing the game and like it got heated. Like she bit me. She peed on my chair. I pooped on her pillow.
This didn't
then after things got so heated that afterwards she was like, "I can't play this game with you anymore."
Yeah.
And like, so I made a movie about it.
If you won't play with me, the world will play with me.
Yeah.
So then, talk to me a little bit about how you got to this point then, I guess. Do you have a degree in filmmaking? Was this what you always wanted to do?
I went to school for screenwriting, and they let the screenwriters play with the cameras occasionally.
Yeah.
And I dug it, but mostly I was working on writing after school and was employed as an angry screenwriter, and then wanted to make a movie, and I kept having ideas about, crazy gothic westerns or things that would put the Earth's oceans in space, and then I was like, oh, here's something about two people playing a game in a room. Let's try that.
What? I can film that. People in a room, the oceans in space. Yeah. It's like, are the oceans leaving our planet and going to space?
No, we put them there. I can't remember exactly why we put them there.
Is it like in Seinfeld with the giant bladder for oil, but it's got the ocean in it?
It's like we have a big heat shield that protects it from the sun, and basically we're just protecting it from despoiling the oceans as we have now, and more population needs the ocean floor, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. Stu, I love you. You are awesome. So, talk to me a little bit about the cast. The guys from Cabin in the Woods. These aren't like no-name people. Did you know them? Did you blackmail them? How did this happen?
Blackmail was pretty much the story. Yeah. I've got some dirt, but no, I just like stumbled into it. Fortunately, they liked the script, and then it was like just dumb luck that I hooked up with the right producers that. Could help me achieve this and get the script to them. And Fran came on board first, and we met, and I managed not to scare him off with like the giant Necronomicon of notes I had for like an 8-page script. And I also brought my laptop and started playing him clips from like Furikuri and like crazy stuff. Yeah. And so then he was on board. And then
hey, you're legitimately insane. I'll do this. Yeah.
And then it was like a week before shooting, and we didn't have our actress yet. Yeah. And then my wife was like, "Why not Amy Acker?" And I was like, "Why not Amy Acker?" And so Fran reached out to her, and we got her.
That's awesome. Like I guess for me the thing is, not being in the biz. That's what you call it, right?
It is, always.
That's what you call it. Like the jump from having this idea for a script to actually having it, and now like you're going around showing it a place. You're gonna be showing it here at Dragon Con in a second. Like. It seems so vast, but is it just that like since this is your day-to-day, it was no big deal? Or is this a big deal that this is like finished and done and being shown now at festivals?
No, it's a big deal because like usually my day-to-day is write scripts, send them out. People say they want to make them, and then they lie and they don't, and it falls through, and I don't get paid.
You don't get paid for it?
Sometimes.
Okay.
But so this was great that I could see something through to fruition, and I didn't have to listen to anybody else. I mean, well, no, I listened to the actors once they told me, "Hey, you should listen to us."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, good idea."
Yeah, you're not full of crap. All right, I'll do that.
Yeah, but I am just mad for power, and I enjoyed it, and now I get to put it out there. Yeah.
So what's next now for the film? I mean, you're going around showing it right now. Will it ever be available on like iTunes, YouTube, something like that?
Yeah. My website, www.hamstervalhalla.com.
Hold time out. That is an awesome. Website.
You can pre-order it there, and when it's available, you can get digital download, Blu-ray, DVD, whatever.
Oh wow, okay. You're all over the place. You have multimedia. Word, yeah. So then what's next? Now that you got a successful film under your belt, do you want to go back to just writing in a room, or do you want to keep making movies like this?
I'm going to make a samurai movie that is inspired by a blend of Japanese no theater, Buddhist mysticism, Chinese epics, Wolfenstein, and Mega Man 2.
That sounds like a f***ing awesome movie. Are the oceans on Earth still?
Yeah.
Okay.
But Oda Nobunaga is a robot.
Okay. Well, when's that one? What's the next step for that one then?
I'm working on the script to bring it from Earth, oceans out in outer space to back down to Earth a little bit.
Okay.
For the first step, and then go crazy with it.
All right. Well, that sounds awesome. Stu, you're fascinating.
I know.
If I had a museum, I'd put you in it.
That sounds good.
It does. You could write in there. I'd let you do that.
Can I have a little pillow? And
Sure, just don't poop on it. That's all I ask. Ladies and gentlemen, the Lord of Catan. You can see it at DragonCon. You can go. You can get it off the site. Hamster Valhalla. Why not? Stu Paul, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you to Stu, Michael, Nick, Brian, and you, my audience. If you want to be in that audience, go.ign.com/up@noon for details. As always, I'll be answering comments the first hour this video is live, so come tell me your favorite Settlers of Catan moment. Mine is when I played against Damon in the movie theater while we waited for it. It was on iPad. It was great. We didn't get all crazy like the couple in the movie. I'm getting long-winded. I'll be back next week, but until then, I'm going back to bed.
And we are out. Good job, guys.
Great show, everybody. Great show. Now it's time for my traditional post-show drink. Oh, yeah. Now I drive the old desk home. Get here, you scamp. Ugh.
Whoa, Greg.
Officer Brian?
That's right. You know better than to be driving drunk.
Okay, Brian, it was a couple of shots. What's the worst that can happen?
Drunk driving kills more than 10,000 people every year.
That's pretty bad.
In 2012, one person was killed every 51 minutes in an alcohol-impaired driving crash.
Jeez.
Also, you're so drunk you think your desk is a car.
Okay, that's a good point.
Cops all across the country are cracking down on drunk driving this weekend. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Even desk driving.
Especially desk driving.